Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And some of you have been bugging me. You gave me a little DM here or there, a little thing. Hey, when's Mike coming back? And I was like, I want to bring Mike back. I don't know. I'm kidding. Obviously, I love Mike. I'm teasing. But you did want to, and I said, okay. But I thought about the perfect timing to bring him back. Mike made a prediction about, 3-4 weeks or whenever it was, weeks ago. I don't remember how long ago it was, but it was a while ago. And he said that Trump was going to win. But a lot of people said that. That wasn't that impressive. I said it. I thought he was going to win. But he said he's going to win with 312 electoral votes. And it looks like he was right. Now, to be fair, if Harris had won, I'd be bringing on Mike to give him a whole lot of shit right now. I would be. I'd be giving him a whole kind of shit. But I want to be fair because he called it on the money. I thought you guys asked for him, and he called it on the money. So let me bring him on, let him gloat a little bit, and then we're going to ask him kind of how he thought, why he thought what happened. The man himself, the dragon of a southern tier, Mike Vass. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's been a couple of great days for me. I'm enjoying it.
Yes, this is your time. That is correct. Absolutely. So, yes. So let me ask that question. A lot of people, not everybody, I mean, some people were completely shocked that Trump won. But a lot of people did think Trump was going to win. I also thought he was going to win. But I did not think by this much at all. And I've admitted my biases and my errors. Mm-hmm. Last night, I gave my mea culpas, right? I did it. But you didn't. And you did it weeks ago. Why?
Well, there's a few things that go into it. Obviously, there's the experience, 18 years of dealing with elections and politics and all. But here's the things that I was looking at. You keep hearing the mainstream news media, they always like to pick one poll that points to whatever their ideology is. And they say, see, this one poll said that we're winning or we're losing. I was looking at the trend of all the polls from all the major credible polls over time, over the last year and a half. And that told us a story about how Trump was being perceived by the middle of America, and how they were gaining steam with him throughout the entire last year and a half. And every poll was indicating.
Let me touch that. I did see some of that too, to be forward with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I believe too much of the newer polls. But I did see that. And if you remember, I was saying, I saw Trump having what I call momentum, right? You said gaining traction. I think the concept's the same. I saw him gain momentum, which is why I thought he was going to win. So you went back with all of those, and that's what told you he was going to win all the swing states. That's what it was, or is there more?
That's part of what tells me that. So that gives me the indication that he's going to win. And that gives me a strong indication that he's going to be very strong in the battleground states. As we kept getting closer, we saw that he kept winning them. Now, there's another component to this, which is very important, that the left will not talk about. And that's also Kamala Harris. She's a major component in this. She had nothing. She offered nothing. She had no compelling discussion. She was asked 5 times by the far left, the softest interviews you could name. I mean, Stephen Colbert. It doesn't get too much softer than that. Shannon Sharpe. And they're asking her, okay, so what are you going to do different? She couldn't answer that. She couldn't say what was different between her and the Biden administration. You've run for office. I've run for elected office. This is a gimme question. It's a layup. Everyone,
you should know this. Yes.
Every first-time candidates know how to answer that question. It's such a layup. And that's why they asked it of her. And when she couldn't answer that 5 times, well, confidence is gone.
Let me go to what most Democrats, I would think, believed was the Achilles heel, right? Most did, which was, look, J day after 5. You want to get canceled by freaking YouTube. Day after 5, right? Mm-hmm. That. And The convictions. 30, he's a felon, right? Oh my God, all these things. And he's going to be a tyrant. Why didn't that land? Because here's the next piece. And you know this too. A lot of Democrats switched over. And according to Democrats, that should not have happened. Clearly it did. Why didn't this land? Why didn't the Democrats go, yeah, look, Jay day after 5 and convicted felon, I can't vote for this guy. Why did that happen?
Because, well, looking at the 6th, see, if you just say the date, they don't hit you. So
Better.
the 6th.
Like that.
Yeah.
6th.
So looking at the 6th, people are looking at that and saying, that doesn't make a lot of sense. See, we've seen, instead of getting the 40 minutes of video, we've gotten 4,000 hours of video. And we've seen the guys being escorted by the police through the hallways of Congress. We've seen police officers kicking back as they watch the crowds walk past them. We've seen them open up the doors. We've seen the people who are walking through saying, don't disrupt, don't destroy anything, don't cause a problem. Yes, protest, but don't harm anything. We're not here to destroy anything, because that's what the conservative movement is. It's to preserve, not to destroy. Leftists try to destroy things. So that's J6. Go ahead.
Okay, let me try to put my own spin on this. I think that one of the things that got him over the hump, and my argument for his decisive victory, for sure, is the idea of the unity ticket. I think bringing on
let's further
Gabbard,
down the line.
Tulsi Gabbard. Well, hold on, let me finish. Bringing on Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, and specifically RFK Jr. I think, I'm not saying he wouldn't have won without him. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's decisive, right?
Yeah, but
because my gut is, I think RFK Jr. is at least 5 million votes.
No.
And those 5 million votes, he only went popular by 4. See, so I'm taking full credit with RFK Jr. for him winning the popular vote. I take it all. Thank you. Everyone,
no.
Thank you.
See,
you're welcome, I should say. You're welcome.
No, we have to look at, so J6, Democrats were looking for that. They were looking for Russia, which they continue to pass through these hoaxes, these fake stories, which is Russia collusion. There's the Ukraine phone call. They kept repeating all the lies. They're all great. They're all fine people. They repeated all these lies that have all been debunked. And you have J6, which we saw was also debunked. And then you go into the one part about the conviction, which on the day he was convicted, Democrats were swamping social media saying that they were donating for the first time ever, in many cases, the only time ever, to Donald Trump because it was a kangaroo court. We've seen, so you take that momentum that you have now had so much negativity and so much obvious bias and hate being spewed by Democrats and the mainstream media, pushing their agenda, that even rank and file Democrats had to stop and say, I have to reevaluate this. I have to readjust my view because this is too much. They've gone too far. And then
you've watched the stuff online, man, where there are Democrats. So you've watched stuff online where the Democrats online literally crying, thinking the world is ending. Oh my God, I'm going to get the Trump is building the camps and they're going to put me in a train and they're going to put me in a camp now. They believe a lot of that stuff, man, like a lot.
No. There is a splinter of the Democratic Party, which is called the progressives. And the progressives might believe that. The Antifas of the world believe that kind of idiocy. And they're the ones who are saying, oh, I'm not going to have sex for the next 4 years. They're the ones who are saying that they're going to take beauty tips from Star Wars outlaws. They may be doing that. These are cat ladies that have never, they haven't been out on a date forever.
You're going to JD Vance me now. Don't do that, JD. Come on now, cat ladies. Don't do that.
Hey, look at these. These are the people that are making these claims. But you're talking about a fringe, a splinter. It's about 7% of the Democratic Party. It's less than 3% of the entire nation. But they love to scream and shout their voices. And the news media, which has a lot of them in it, loves to project that and push it. to make other people feel guilty, and to also, this is a matter of coercion. When they're telling you, oh, we're going to punish you now for what you did, your free choice, your expression of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You voted for Trump because you think he could provide more of those things, and they're going to punish you now. You're guilty. You're a sexist. You're a racist. You're not going to have sex for 4 years. You got to look at these fuglified people as much as possible because you're so bad. And unless you behave and obey and comply, you're going to get more of this treatment, which they don't realize gives people the confirmation that, no, I don't want to be part of your cult. I don't want to have to obey your oppressive authoritarian point of view. And this is why we're hearing them say, John Kerry said, John Kerry at the WAF. They have to break the First Amendment so that they can maintain the control. And we know the White House under Biden-Harris has gone to Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg said himself, they did control the conversation. 100%. They did censor people.
Let me move down here, if I could.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing this up because
did I piss off people with the cat lady thing?
You might have, but it's fine. It's fine. I knew you would. It's fine. No, the piece I want to bring up here about what you just said is, I brought this up yesterday. I feel this election was heavily about, we're tired of being shamed. To your point, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm going further. I think Americans are tired of being shamed. It drives us all crazy. And I think you can see that the media has learned nothing from it because they went right into shaming. They didn't say, wow, we got rejected horribly this election. Maybe we should change our message, or maybe we should change our people, or maybe we should. No, it's, see that, Mike, you ist and phobe. You are both of them this time, not just one. You're both. And you obviously hate, but the data doesn't prove, the data does not show. This is the part that threw me and why I'm on your side completely on this one, because, and usually I'm on your side, but not always. But anyway, completely on this one is because the data shows that we didn't do it because of race or gender. Clearly, that's not the issue. The data shows it's not true, but they still want to shame us. It's like it's their only tool, so they keep using it.
Well, it's not shame. It's abuse, and it's again, it's coercion. You will comply or else. We see this. This is why they have riots. Every time the left has any issue and they're not getting instantaneous compliance, then they go out and they have riots. They try and burn down cities. They take over. They have their insurrectionist autonomous zones. They assault people. We see this on a regular basis. It's coercion. Obey or else. That's what they're doing. And they demonize you. How dare you? Listen to CNN, Joy Reid. You listen to MSNBC. You listen
Joy
to
Reid, Jesus
listen
Christ.
to the talking heads. And what are they saying? All of them on the left. They're like, you're not smart enough to understand what you just did. Do you understand your vote? Oh, so you're going to belittle me and you're going to tell me I'm an ist and a phobe? They know nothing about the American people. They don't live. Oh, we had all the Joy Reid's like, oh, we had Queen Latifah. What's Queen Latifah got to do with me paying my bills every day? Queen Latifah, she don't live in the Bronx anymore. She don't make minimum wage. So
I like Queen Latifah. I do, but she's not struggling anymore. The woman she's done what she's got to do. She's not struggling anymore. I agree.
Exactly. Yes. And neither is Beyonce and Taylor Swift and whatever. No one cares what those entertainers care about in terms of politics. They're not living our lives. They're entertainers. They're paid liars. And by the way, they got paid. She had $1.1 billion in October. As of October 16th, she's now $20 million in debt. What happened between then and now? A bunch of ads and a bunch of pseudo concerts. That's not politics, but that's what she did. She was hobnobbing with all the Hollywood greats. They were all kissing her ass, telling her how great she was and that her crap don't smell. And yet the American people were telling her and telling the Biden-Harris administration for the last 3.5 years, inflation, it's actually real. And I'm feeling it every day. Unemployment is creeping up, not down. And even with the most recent unemployment report, the only reason why it didn't go up is there's less people capable of working. That number went down at the same time that there were more people not able to work. So the math worked out that it stayed the same. We have less people working now. Every indicator in terms of the economy is telling it's bad. People are telling everyone. We know New York, Chicago, Boston, LA, Austin, Boulder. All these cities are telling us their infrastructure is breaking, falling apart because of the open border, illegal aliens that we can't afford. $5 billion a year in New York State alone. And we're spending money on them, but we spent so much money on these illegal aliens, and we've made so many exclusions for them.
We're going down the road. I don't want to go down the road. No, don't go down the road. Okay, let me grab
these are all factors in the election that people, real, average, everyday Americans who don't literally, they're more than happy to watch whatever football game, basketball, whatever ball game is going on. They want to watch that. They know those details. They know the housewives of wherever the hell they're at, and they love to watch that stuff. They don't want to have to pay attention to politics. And they
don't yell at my Kardashians, okay? Don't yell at my Kardashians. Anyway, let me keep going. Peace. Thank you for the $2. Yeah. He says, some of my friends are losing their minds. Yes. Yes, I know. I have seen it. There are people who are
I've seen it too.
bothered.
That's why I'm laughing.
I'm walking in my neighborhood, and almost every woman I see is like dour. Like they're physically like unhappy. You can see they're literally like, like they got headphones in. They don't want to say hi to anybody. Like it has really affected some people. I think Pieces is exactly correct. Mike, are you seeing this or no?
Not so much here in the Bronx. I'm not seeing it that much, but I am seeing it online far more.
Absolutely.
And again, this is a splinter portion. You're not seeing this overwhelmingly. You go through Manhattan, you go through the Bronx, you go through Kansas, you go through Iowa, you go through Texas. Most places, no. People are not losing their minds because they don't care.
This is one thing you did say that this part was not true. And I thought it was not true on this one too. You said after Trump gets elected, there's going to be riots all over the place. I didn't think there was going to be riots. I did not. I thought you were wrong on that one. I thought it would not be riots. And there's a reason why I thought there wouldn't be riots, because the Democrats have said that they're better than Trump and they would accept the end of the election. And because they said that, they had to act accordingly. And to be forward, Trump had a decisive victory. There's no, let's see what word I want to use, phrase. There's no plausible deniability, if that makes any sense. There's no logical reason to say it was rigged or whatever, right? There's no way to say that it was wrong. And that's why I think another reason why there was no riots. Am I wrong on this?
Well, no, the reason why there weren't riots is because the announcement came at 2:30 in the morning and everyone couldn't stay up.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
They could have stayed up. Stop.
You know
come
what?
on now.
Gee, what happened immediately?
Rioters have to go to bed?
Yes, because they have to have the momentum. They're sitting around. They're not going to stand out there and wait. Now, I was talking to Hardlands Media, Kit Cabello. You know Kit.
Love
He's
Kit.
been on your program. And I was on with him during part of the election Tuesday night. And he even confirmed, yes, in Chicago, the left was prepared to go out and to, well, they would call it protest. But every time they go out to protest, something gets destroyed. So I call it rioting. And they were prepared. They just were waiting for the announcement, which is why this normally happens 1 hour after the announcement. This is 2016. 1 hour after the announcement. Announcement came out about 10:30, 11:30 at night, spontaneously in 11 cities around the nation. There were suddenly riots spontaneously. Yeah, no, this is all prepared. it was too late and people had to go to work the next day. And since the riots hadn't started, the protests hadn't started, there was no way work was going to get shut down. So they went to work. But what did we see on Wednesday? Look at Chicago, look at LA, and I think there's Colorado, or was it Boston, that they're having protests right now. They did go out and protest, but they lost the momentum of the energy, of the anger and the anguish to allow people to actually riot. So they're doing only the protest now. It's because it was at 2:30 in the morning. If you did that if that happened, if the announcement came out at 10 or 11, they would have been out protesting, but they would have been violent because they are always
I'm not sure
violent.
I'm buying that one. Let me grab a couple more super chats if I could. Peace back on. He wants to buy you a green screen. You can do that piece if you want to. You can. You know what you can do? You can head on over to No Soundbites Allowed, and you can super chat him next time he's on. He'll be on for 35 hours this Sunday. So, yes, he was on for like 7 the other Sunday. He was on for like
7.5 on Sunday.
7.5. I'm not joking. So he'll be on for like 95 hours on Sunday. Throw him a super chat so he can get a green screen. It can be done. Absolutely.
I'd appreciate it. Yeah. And I will buy a better green screen.
There we go. Little J, thank you for the $5. Currently in the Army. That's my way of packing up and leaving New York City. Where do you see the direction of the military for the next 5 years, Larry? Well, let me give you a couple things. The military is going to be shrinking. And it's shrinking because we can't get enough bodies to join. And most of it's because of what RFK Jr. has been talking about, health issues. It is the biggest issue that we have in America today. Our youth is not prepared to join the military. We can't lower our standards anymore. We've already lowered our standards very low. We're now accepting felons, and we weren't. I'm actually not against accepting felons, but we were at a point where we weren't even accepting felons at one point. That part I'm okay bringing that back in. That I'm not worried about. But we're going to lower that. Plus, you're going to see us. What's been happening is the military is learning a lot from the Ukraine-Russia war, a lot, and they're rebooting all over the place. We have new primary weapons now. Back when me and Mike went, was the M16A2. Those days are over. New primary weapons now. I'm not against it. I'm just saying it's against it. We've gotten rid of the SAW, which I hated the SAW, but I'm glad that's gone. I'm glad that's gone. The SAW was a garbage weapon.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's gone away. And Marine Corps now, by the way, no more tanks. The Marine Corps is getting rid of all of its armor. Getting rid of all of its armor, and you're going to see a massive increase in drone operators. There is going to be a massive increase in drone operators in all of the branches, in every one of them. And it won't just be like an Air Force drone. Nope. All the branches will have their own drone operators. That's what I think. And our biggest preparation right now is actually not a war with Russia. Our biggest prep right now is not even a war in the Middle East. That's not our biggest prep. We are prepping for all that as we always are. But our biggest prep right now is Southeast Asia. That is where our biggest prep is right now. In the Marine Corps specifically, also the Army too. Our biggest prep right now is in Asia, North Korea, China. The military is biggest, most preps there. Other areas too, but that's the most. That's my view. Mike, what do you think?
Well, no, I've actually called it. It's part of what I have called for the last several years is the 3 regional war scenario, which is worse than World War III. It's not going to be World War III. Anyone who says that to you is trying to get a political advantage. It's that we're dealing with 3 simultaneous regional wars, which currently we have 2. We have the Ukraine war, which thanks to Biden-Harris could last the next 10 years. We've opened up the door, which Putin has said, I believe it was today, came out and said, well, he's willing to talk about Ukraine now and talking about ceasefire or ending that conflict, which I think will happen by January of 2025. And at the same time, we see there's going to be pullback from Iran. They're terrified that we have Trump and that Hamas continues to hold the hostages. They don't want to be in that scenario with
Don't
Trump
give me that. Give me military. Don't give me wars.
I am giving you military because we have troops. We were on the path to put troops into the Ukraine, something that France has been absolutely pushing for us to do. We have bombers sitting outside of Iran right now, threatening Iran to not take any further action against Israel. We have been negligent, insanely negligent against the Philippines, North Korea, and Japan.
Now. Yep.
And they have And they are desperate right now. And China was using the advantage of a weak president, whether you want to say it's Biden, Kamala, or they're taking advantage of that to put pressure on all of the other nations, many of our allies. That's why Japan is building its first army since 1945, even though they have the 1960 treaty with the United States that says that we will back them no matter what. Even if they're wrong, we will take their side in a war. And even with that, and having the Marine Corps base in Japan, and they're still building an army for the first time because Joe Biden was just that weak. But now that we have Trump in, that changes some of the numbers. But yes, China is the biggest threat economically and militarily. And it's partially because of what Biden has set up ahead of time. But we will see the recruitment numbers increase because we have a strong president with a plan and who gets fear and respect overseas. You will see the numbers increase.
Let me grab a couple of pieces. One, I want to say I disagree on the numbers increasing. I think we will shift into less troops on the ground and more drones. That's my gut. But we'll see who
more drones. I agree with that, but no troops. You will see more people volunteering. Absolutely.
Little Jay says, "Thank you for the 49." He goes on and says, "Yes, I do it shrink. I see it shrinking firsthand. Yep, it is. Yes, the drones, especially within supply. Ooh, you're right. I hadn't even thought about the supply aspect. I always think about reconnaissance more than anything else, but I think you're right. Supply too, absolutely. Again, New York State is so bad. I packed up and joined the military. Dude, I did the same thing when I was 17. Mike took off and did the same thing too. We did the same thing. Both of us joined the Marine Corps. Absolutely true. Yes. So Garrett, I want to say thank you for the 10 memberships, my friend. Thank you. Yes, I agree. I'm not for the draft. Yes, I'm not for the draft. However, I do think sometimes it's a great thing. I know you are. That's why I was being specific. I'm not for the draft, but I think people should volunteer when they want to. Guys, take advantage of those memberships that Garrett's grifting. Thank you again, Garrett, for that. Take advantage of those, please.
Definitely. Good job, Garrett.
I want to go to another piece if I could. And that is, was this back on track? We went off because of Super Chat, but I'm going to come back. I said, and you thought I was wrong on this, but I was right on this. I said Harris should have gambled and gone on Joe Rogan, that she was going to lose if she doesn't do something. And she's got to go on Rogan. She's got to roll the dice. Or so what? If she loses, so what? You're losing anyway. Go on Rogan, prep, and do that, and stop doing this other stupid stuff she was doing, like going on tour with whatever, Beyonce or something. That was dumb. Instead, go on Rogan and then push that and gamble and roll the dice. Now, I remember I saw something, I forgot where I saw it, some video I saw that people were talking about how a bunch of young men went out and voted after Rogan said to go vote. They did. And they voted, and they said one of the reasons why they didn't vote for Harris is because they believed Harris wasn't real and couldn't have a regular conversation because Rogan told them that. Now, that's a couple people they talked to. But I think that was more common than that. I think a lot of people thought, well, she's nobody. She's some chick. I'm not going to do this. I think if she had gone on Rogan, not that she would have won, but it was still the best move she had at the end. It was the right gamble. Go ahead. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Every time that she has an interview, she loses millions of people. She
already got her ass kicked.
No, she was going to get, and it would have gotten even worse. Here's the thing.
Than this.
She was put in place to replace Joe Biden to motivate the base of Democrats to show up so they could keep the House and they could keep the Senate. That was her job. If she won, bonus for everyone, and they would have been pissed because they don't want her. They don't like her. They threw her out in 2019. The only reason why she had the job was because of DEI. People don't like to admit this, but she had the right check boxes. That's why she got to be VP. It wasn't based on merit. And they only put her in for president because they were desperate. They had to sprint, and they needed $300 million that they weren't going to give up, that was attached to Biden and her, and Biden was out. And that's the only reason why she got there. But putting those things aside, why didn't she didn't do Rogan. And I think if she actually could do an interview, I would say, yes, you're right, Larry. But she can't. She can't talk to people normally. She can't talk without a script. She can't talk without a script for even 15 minutes. And we've
Okay.
seen that in every one of her
I'm
interviews.
not saying you're wrong. She's bad candidate. I agree. But if you've got, okay, hold on.
No,
Mike,
no.
me
Then
and
if
you,
she shows
me
up on
and
Rogan,
you.
she
Hold on.
would have imploded so bad that
So,
you would have
okay,
seen
hold on.
probably 50 million, maybe
It's
even less Democrats voting.
It's me and you. We're her team.
Yeah.
We're her team now. I'm making this scenario up. We got her.
Yeah,
She's
hell
a
is
terrible
frozen over,
candidate.
and now I'm on her team. Okay, got it.
Correct. Hell is frozen over, and you are now supporting a Democrat. That's true. Yes, this is someplace in like some microverse, a miniverse, where this is what happened, and all of a sudden in that multiverse, you're there. All right.
Right.
So yes, you're supporting her. What do? You know you're about to get your ass kicked. You just had her go. You just had Trump go on Joe Rogan and kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rogan wants you to come on. He's begging you. He says he'll do whatever you want. He says, I'll talk about chickens if you want. I don't care. Dogs. You say it. I'll do it. You tell me you tell me and you don't go, we're going to lose, Harris. Just go on. We'll prep you the best of our ability. We'll prep you the best. We'll give you some cool stories to say. Go on. You tell me you don't say that. What do you tell her then?
Because
Sorry,
she can't do it. She can't do it.
So
if
what do you tell her?
Then she has already proven conclusively she can't do it. She can't make 3 hours, and she can't make up the stories for long enough.
So you do an hour.
No, Rogan does.
He would have done an hour. He would have done an hour. Yes, he would have. He said it. He would have done an hour.
He says that now. He wanted 3 hours, and she'd have been beat up if she only did an hour. It would have been just as bad as if she didn't show up.
So
she had to do 3 hours because Trump did 3 hours, because J.D. Vance did 3 hours. She had to do 3 hours.
You don't have an answer.
Huh?
You don't have an answer.
Sure I do. I'd put her on everything else. I'd have her book wall to wall, 24 hours a day on everything except Rogan, and I'd have her on for nothing more than about 5 to 10 minutes. But I would have her Joe Random. What was it? The chick who was in the milk bath with Cheerios. I'd have her talking to her for 5 minutes. You remember that a couple of elections ago? I'd have her with that person for 5 minutes. I'd have her randomly.
Right.
I would literally have my crew going through, finding everybody who had like 5,000, 10,000, 1,000 subscribers on every platform, and just randomly pull out Democrats out of there to have her show up and be like, hey, I'm Kamala Harris. I'm talking to you.
If I get a Democrat on my team, I'm never bringing you aboard. No way.
Well, no.
Republicans.
You know what? If you're trying to that's a hard sell. But if you did, you'd actually have someone who could answer a question, who has a life, isn't a robot, or more importantly, someone so evil that they will be like soy. She will bend and twist and contort to be anything that's required at the moment, so long as she gets a benefit. And that came across.
All right.
That came across to everybody.
Let me grab a couple of member comments, if I could. Rick, thank you for being a member. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Yes, I completely agree. We do have to keep going. I was on a podcast today talking about that. A lot of people have me come back on to their podcast to kind of wrap up when I was on earlier when I was a RFK Jr. surrogate. And one of them mentioned that. He was like, wait a minute. We shouldn't just assume that the elections are now perfect now. And I'm like, I agree. You still want to stay vigilant. I think there were a whole lot more election watchers than ever, and that was a good thing. Yes. I think it was a good thing that happened. And you're right. We don't want to just let that go. We want to keep that going always. I completely agree. So yes. Did you get any issues or concerns about that, Mike? Did you get any of that? Like
massive.
Elections were in trouble?
My biggest problem is when I went to go, I'm in the Bronx, New York. Mm-hmm. And I moved my registration this year from upstate New York into central New York, into the Bronx. And I walked into the polling location, and no one asked me for an ID.
Yeah, I know.
They asked me for my name and some other and my address. They asked my name, my address. Yep. And they said, great, fantastic, sign this. And I actually signed it with my left hand just because I had something in my right handed. And so I signed it with my left hand, which does not match my signature.
Yep.
Does not match at all. And they're like, great, here's your flyer, the ballot, go and sign in. No one was being checked. No one was being asked.
That was bad. Let me push that piece too. Now, I went there and I literally, this is a true story. I'm in Queens, New York.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I attempted to hand him my ID. He literally said to me, I don't need that. That's what he said. He just said, what's your name? Give me a name. He said, sign here. And he gave me the vote. Now, here's the bad part. People don't know this. New York state law is actually a good law. Our laws are actually good.
Yeah.
The laws state you must check ID and you must check signature. That's what the laws state. This is why you can't change New York State. It's a cultural issue because our laws are actually good laws when it comes to ID. And they never do it. And that's not true. Sorry. They never do it in New York City. If you go outside some of the other counties, you will find some people who will do it here or there. It does happen outside New York City, here or there.
We're talking about
in all the cities, doesn't happen.
Albany, Rochester. You're not seeing it there. You're not seeing it there.
Correct.
Because they don't care if they automatically register illegal aliens when they get driver's licenses, which they shouldn't have. And just like in Oregon, illegal aliens get registered. We've seen that in several states now. They get registered to vote. And they do vote. Now, how large that number is, I don't know. They keep telling me it's small. Initially, they told us it didn't exist. Then for the last 2 months, we've been finding out people are getting arrested all over the place for it. So now they said, oh, it's small. Well, how small is small? We're talking about a city of 8 million people. Are you telling me it's 8,000, 80,000? That's enough to change multiple levels of elections. That's the difference between having this congressman, that congressman. It could, in some states, you could talk about changing an election. Just off of 80,000, that's like 0.1%.
I'm with you.
0.1%.
Let me grab another one if I could. Adrian, thank you so much for being a member again. I haven't heard news giving any credit to Bobby and Tulsi and to Trump's numbers. I think that's not a big thing. You agree? I agree. But however, I am going on every goddamn podcast I can saying it and taking all the credit. I am taking all of the credit. I don't care what people think. I just told Mike the reason why he got the popular vote was directly because of RFK Jr. No. I'm saying it to everybody. Adrian, I'm on board. I agree with you. People are not saying it, but I am saying it every damn day to everyone who will listen.
Okay. So in terms of RFK, more so than Tulsi, more than Elon, realistically, the thing that was, and I'm not saying that RFK didn't help. He did. RFK Jr. definitely helped getting third-party votes into the Republican Party, more importantly, to vote for Trump.
And Democrats.
Not as much.
No, you are utterly wrong. You will watch my chat explode in 5 seconds, showing you all the Democrats who voted for Kennedy.
I'm not saying that none of them did. I said not so much. More third-party votes, more people who were independent. And I think on weight, you will see, because most people didn't notice this. The day that they switched out Joe Biden and put in Kamala Harris, we saw that about out of the, roughly at that time, he was at about 12%. RFK was at 12%. He went down to about, I believe the number was 8% at that point. Automatically, Democrats went back to the Democratic Party. And then we saw out of that 8% that was remaining, or roughly about 4.5%, 5% of that was mixed between Republicans and third party that were in RFK that switched. And about, I'd say in this election, about 2 points, about 2% were based on RFK and the third party votes moving to Donald Trump. Now, out of the fact that he had 3.5 to 4 points, which I called it at +3. That's almost exactly what I was calling. That was the bonus. I think Trump was going to win no matter what. He would have won by maybe 1, maybe 1.5 without RFK. But with RFK, yeah, he had a far more stronger win. That gave him the cushion. And now it also will be very good. Here's where it really counted, though. Here's the part where RFK really counts. It gave the down ballot. The reason why we won the Senate and the reason why we're doing so well in the House for Republicans is the RFK and that unity party. The fact that we're talking about a Department of Government Efficiency with Elon and possibly Ron Paul. The fact that we're talking about MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, which is RFK. The reason that we're able to do that and say confidently that we have a chance at that now is because the third party and RFK voters jumped onto the Trump train with him, and that gave him the Senate, which means they get the confirmations. And if we get the House, that means we get the funding, so we can make those changes. So I give him credit for that.
Pieces. All right, let me give you some numbers.
Sure.
At his height, he polled at 19%. That was his height. At his lowest, he polled at 5%. I'm saying lowest 5, highest 19. Right?
Yeah.
If you just average it to 12 and then take half of that to 6, forget it. Go to take as low as 5. At 5%, that's over 7 million votes. At 5%, over 7 million votes. If 2/3 of those people would have voted for him, just 2/3, that's 5 million. 5 million votes. Bobby Kennedy Jr. gave Donald Trump 5 million votes.
No.
And you don't want to hear that shit, but that's 100% true.
No,
and I'm not done. I'm not done, bro. You talked. I'm not done. Second piece I want to bring up here is there are literally hundreds of thousands of Democrats who were so turned off by what the DNC did to Bobby Kennedy Jr., were so disgusted by it, they will never vote Democrat again. Or at least they say so. I mean, they might change in the future, but they are, for now, they are 100% never Democrats. Never. There are hundreds of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, who will openly tell you they don't even like Trump, but they're not voting for Trump. They're voting for Elon, or they're voting for RFK Jr. through Trump. So they just want to get Bobby. I'm still not done. Maha, MAGA is surely a masculine viewpoint. People see it as masculine. They see it as male dominant. That's how it feels, how it comes across. It absolutely does. You can shake your head, oh no, it's absolutely true. That's how it comes across.
Okay.
Maha
that's dumb.
Does not come across that way at all. Maha comes across as, helpful families. In fact, one of the most popular things that popped up was Maha with a heart in it. That was one of the most popular ones. And what does that do? That brings women and families in. That actually puts some empathy on the MAGA, which has all the strength. Maha puts empathy on it. So with all that, and you're going to watch the chat. The chat is going to agree with me 100% because they know I'm right. Absolutely true.
Now
that's what actually happened.
Okay, so now let's return a little bit more reality into your scenario.
That was reality. Come on now. You just
wait. First of all, assigning gender or feelings to MAGA and Maha
is called basic marketing.
Insane. I think that's insane. But
basic marketing.
I think it's insane, but whatever. So there's that. Throw that out. But what I do think that we're talking about 1.5 votes. Remember, many of the Republicans that were left with RFK after Biden made his switch, or was forced out, to be more honest, then those Republicans, they were Republican voters anyway. If RFK didn't exist, they'd be on Trump. They would have voted with Trump. They weren't going to vote for Jill. They're not going Jill Stein. They're not going to vote for Chase Oliver. They're not going to vote for Dr. Cornel West. Those guys weren't. In fact, RFK helped them more than anything else. He was great for third parties in that he gave them the opportunity for attention. They wasted it. It was useless, but he gave them that window that people were willing to talk to them and have their ideas. And RFK, and the best thing he could have done, RFK, was to join with Trump so that he could have the backing to actually make any of those policies move forward. I believe that if you're not counting the Republicans that normally would have voted Republican and voting for Donald Trump, you're talking about roughly 1.5 million. Remember, Trump in 2020 got 74 million votes. He got 71 million votes in this election. And this was a reduce. The reduction was almost entirely on Democrats, which I told you, and I also called that they were down significantly because they were demotivated. They had nothing to be motivated about.
All right.
RFK helped, but he wasn't the thing that made Trump win.
All right.
He's
Hold on.
just
Two
a
things.
bonus.
I didn't say that Trump wouldn't have won without RFK. He might still have won. I'm not saying
7 million votes would have been no. That's
all I'm saying is I'm saying 5 million is what I said. I'm saying the reason why he was able to win the popular vote is directly because of RFK Jr. And hold on before you yell at me. Let me talk to my audience real fast.
they're
Guys,
yelling
if
at
you
me.
like this discussion, click the like button, right? You guys asked for Mike, I brought him back. So click the like button, right? Please do that. Also, do me a favor. Follow Mike. Follow him on Rumble. No sound bites allowed. Follow him on that so you can see what he's doing. If you think he's right, you can hang out with him. If you don't, go on the show and yell at him. It's fine. He just wants people to watch. It's all good. Either whatever it is. If you're watching this on Twitter or Facebook, please, if you would, share this right now. Share it on Twitter, retweet it, whatever the case may be, repost it, whatever. If you haven't subscribed to me, either on YouTube or Facebook, why not? Why do you hate me? I don't understand. Do it. Thank you for the super chats. As always, I'll get to them too. If you want to become a member, members are most appreciated. Please join. I try to get my members to the best of my ability. And in the future, I'm going to have some shows just for members, or maybe I might just do where members comment or something like that. I'll do some kind of reward for members. Not sure what it is yet, but I will figure this out. Please do that. But no matter what, click the button known as like. It does matter. All right, let me grab some of these if I could. Go ahead.
Before you do, I do want to say to everyone, I'm not saying that RFK is a bad person. I'm not. And again, I think Maha is a good policy. I think it's great. I'm very happy about the Department of Government Efficiency. God knows I've been screaming about that for a long time. So I don't want people to think I'm like, oh, RFK doesn't matter. He does. He did have an impact. So I don't want people to think that I'm saying he isn't. I just don't think the numbers were exactly the same as what you're saying. And I don't think he wasn't the deciding factor in this election. He is a factor, and he will be a factor in the administration going forward, but he wasn't the factor of what made the decision of who won. That's what I'm saying. Right. And I think people miss that because I'm looking at the hate and
but some people like you. I mean, you got some people like you.
I don't mind if people disagree. I don't mind that hate. Yeah. It's just hate me for the right reason, not the wrong one.
They just know you're wrong on this one. That's all. So Wonder This World 97 says, I think RFK Jr. made the Trump win decisive. I agree completely. Without RFK, Trump may still have won. Agreed, he may have. But it wouldn't have been close enough. The DNC would have fought more before conceding. I agree completely. Andrew thinks that he's up to both of us, so that's good. Andrew's on both. He's already.
Thank you, Andrew.
So that's good. So Adrian says, can't follow him if he throws shade on RFK. He's not throwing shade. He's not doing that. So you can follow him. He's not throwing shade. He just doesn't get that I have the numbers and I'm right. Sarah knows that. Larry has the numbers. Where's Mike basing numbers from? Feelings, it sounds like. Ooh, she's hitting you with the feelings, Mike.
I have to admit that at this moment, I don't have numbers. I don't think anyone has numbers at this moment. Again, you used an estimate, and I can also go with that same estimate. And again, you're not taking out Republicans that vote Republican anyway, which is about, out of that 7 million you're talking about, is about 3.5 million. So there you go. So again, we can dispute the numbers. That's why I'm not focused on the numbers. I'm looking at, okay, RFK brought in about 2%. I think he added 2%. Now, that makes it more decisive for Trump, but that doesn't win it. And that's the only thing I said is he didn't win it. He does make it more decisive. He does future, actually, absolutely. And I think that's the bigger thing that people are focused on, the numbers of this win. I'm looking forward. The important thing is the coalition and what it will do going forward.
But the numbers do matter. I think he's right. This makes it harder for the Democrats to fight back. It makes it harder. And being decisive, like you said it gives him the Senate. It gives him probably the House. It looks like the House, right? But not 100%. It looks like the House too. So now he's already got the courts. He is in a, and not just that, This win, all the neocon top dog Republicans who were so hoping he would lose, they could retake the party and get back to George W. Bush. All of those guys like, damn, now what? Uh-oh, now what are we going to do? So that also happened because it was decisive. If it wasn't decisive, they might have tried to grab the party back somehow. That's gone now. They can't take the party back. This is now Trump's party. Whether people like that or not, this is now Trump's party. He can do as he sees fit. I'm just saying it does matter. I'm not wrong here, am I?
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I said the same thing, that it does make a difference for the administration. And yes, he's part of the reason, I think a good part of the reason why we saw the Senate flip, and as strongly as it did, and possibly for the House as well. So I am giving him credit for what I think he attributed to, but Trump winning isn't part of that. It's the other factors that he absolutely, I think he's a much bigger impact on, and future, yes, more of an impact, but not the win. No.
All right. Adrian's going to call you an ist. Women have been concerned with food safety, formula, and vaccines for years. Trust the man to dismiss a woman. Voss, not you, Larry. I may not vote become an R, but never a DNC president again. And she is exactly my point that I'm talking about. There are, hundreds of thousands of people who are former Democrats. And I was down in Florida at one of those parties in Florida, and I met, just in a room, dozens. I'm not joking when I say that, dozens of, and they were all women that I happened to meet, right? Mm-hmm. Women who were former Democrats who said, I will never vote DNC ever again, will not do it, won't do it. They are terrible. And they didn't want to vote for Trump, but they voted for Bobby Kennedy Jr. through Trump. It's bigger than you think is all I'm saying.
Well, wait a minute.
Bigger than you think, Mike.
When in anything that I say, Adrian, did I say I'm dismissing a woman? When did I say, well, other than the cat lady thing, which is somewhat of a joke. But
some other people than that, are mad at the cat lady. See that? I told you I was going to go back and bite you in the ass. I told you that was.
But other than that, which was somewhat, I was purposefully being a little playful there. But seriously, I never said women are wrong. I never said that I've never said Maha is bad, but it's not. I think I've made myself clear about that aspect. So I'm not denigrating women.
Well, then let me go on a couple more people who are correct. Kim says, give me a soapbox microphone. Mike, Larry's right. Love my canine. Larry's right. See, I just am. It's just clue. Christine says he may have picked up the crunchy mom vote. 100% true. There were women at that event, crunchy moms, in long dresses and no shoes. Yes, I'm not joking. That was a real thing. Yes. Thomas says marketing principles. Larry's right. Mad Nomad, I also agree with Larry. I'm just saying you're not winning this one, Mike. I love Michigan. Larry knows the psychology. He's 100% right. Yes, absolutely. 100%. I'm just saying. I agree with Larry about MAGA and Maha. Yep. Christine says, I did hear RFK picked up 5 million votes from Trump. Give or take. Yep. Absolutely. Just saying. I love what you're saying, Mike, but I think I got you on this one. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. Look, you know what? You got to get something back considering all the things that I did get right. In fact, I had the best prediction in the industry. No one got it more right than I did. So I give you that during your show. You're getting, the audience is with you. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Okay. But again, we're getting a little bit upset. I think we're getting hung up on something that isn't the most important factor.
Yes, but there's a lot of RFK supporters on this show, and they want that respect.
Then they should be happy that we have the Senate, which the only way that RFK would ever be able to do anything with the administration is that we got the Senate. And that's the only way he's going to possibly get a cabinet position and actually be able to implement anything is because we got the Senate. It's the only way. It would never have happened any other way.
Let me give you the last ones. Mad Nomad, she says, yes, that's me. I love Michigan, says Larry 1,000 are correct. Mm-hmm. Wrong one. Hold on. Yeah. Kim goes on to say RFK give Trump more than 5 million votes. Not sure about that, but I get it. Yes, I do get it. Absolutely. I'm not sure that's but I get it. That's all I'm saying. I get it. Kim also goes on to say, that's me. I will never vote them again. Yes. A lot of people. Jennifer says Democrats left us since the 90s.
True.
Yep. So there's a lot out there, right? That there's a lot.
I'm not saying
Of
he
people
doesn't
who are on the
have,
same
he
side.
has a lot of fans and he grew his base once people got to hear. Oh, one of my cameras went dead. Hang on.
I think your camera went dead. Yes. While you're
That's right. I'm
fixing
still
your camera,
talking, but
I'm gonna grab another one of these. Peace
yeah.
Logic. The best thing about this election was finding Larry. Oh, like and unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe. Don't do that. Like and subscribe. Don't unsubscribe. Peace Logic. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. I hope you meant and subscribe. Like and subscribe. It does matter. Peace Logic goes on to say, again, $4. Thank you. RFK, I got to meet him in person. He's a really good human being. I feel alive and full of hope. The thing that was very good about if you go to one of RFK Jr.'s meetings and you meet him, he actually shakes your hand and talks to you. He does do that. He does that. He has a lot of security around him, obviously, so you got to make sure you get the old security stuff. But when he gets there, he actually will talk to you about stuff all the time. That's one thing he's really good at that piece. He goes on to say, again, thank you for the $5. In Virginia, the one thing they asked when voting is my ID. RFK all the way. Is it possible for him to get a confirmed position? Two pieces. Yes, some states are better than others in checking voter ID. Some are. The problem with a place like New York, as Mike and I talked about, is our laws are actually good laws. The problem is people not enforcing them. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, the idea of the getting a confirmed position, I think absolutely yes, it's possible. I think now he may not want that. He may want to be a czar of something. Who knows? But I think he can. Mike, you agree he can get a confirmed position now, right?
Oh, absolutely. Now he can. I absolutely think he's going to be confirmed because we have, what was the last count I saw was 52, 53 in the Senate. If it weren't, that means we can let one or two people actually vote against him to save their reelection, and he still gets confirmed. I think that's absolutely essential.
Yeah, you might want to reboot your
yeah, my camera's still acting.
And Sarah's messing with you. She goes, instant karma, Mike. That's what you get for being wrong. See? Instant karma. Do you want to pop out and come back in?
No. If this doesn't fix the camera, then okay, there we go. See? There
we go.
That fixed the camera. So
there we go. Yeah, Sarah goes on to say RFK brought a lot of women to Trump because women love Kennedy's. I think that's true. If you looked at his base, a lot of Kennedy's base was older women. That's true. A lot of his base was that. A lot of them were parents. A lot of that. So yeah, there was a lot of that. You do have someone though.
You know what I noticed?
Agrees with you.
Well, no, Hal's being nice. No, Hal. He's just being nice. But you notice what isn't a factor?
What?
Democrats right now, enjoy reading them. They're trying to make it about, it's Hispanic men, they're evil. Black men, they're evil. White men, they're evil. They're trying to bring in race. They're trying to bring in all these other factors into this election to try and make people think that there's some evil boogeyman rather than just simply saying, we had a bad candidate. We had a bad campaign.
Yes.
That the Democrats threw out any concept of democracy when they decided to appoint Kamala Harris because no one voted for her. And they could have given the public some kind of chance, or at least made an attempt to try and get a vote in there. They didn't care about any of that. So and you brought this up earlier and we never really got to it, but I wanted to address it, is that they have to do this because they can never be wrong. They will never admit that they're wrong. It's always, we need more time. We need more money. You are the bad guy. And they're always going to be right. They're on the right side of history. They're still saying it. They're on the right side of history. And everyone else, you're just too stupid to understand it. And that's why their echo chamber is so impenetrable. They are cultists at this point. They are the minority and they are cultists because they refuse to see anything other than their own point of view. I can be proven wrong. Maybe if RFK had 5 million votes, fantastic. I'm not worried about the 5 million or what I think is 2 million votes. Fantastic. I am more concerned about the policies that come out of that. But you look at the left and all they can say right now is you guys are demons, you're evil, you're you're phobe.
Yep.
And they're going to try and find every way they can to derail everything going forward because they want power back in
right.
2026. That's
Let me
evil.
grab a couple of these and we'll wrap this up for this topic. Sarah
Yeah,
says, we like Mike. You're just totally wrong on this. That's all he says. That's it, right? Cody
Okay.
says, that's okay. You're not right, Mike.
Okay.
I told you my chat will beat you up on this one.
That's okay.
Says,
I don't mind. You know, I can be proven wrong. It's okay.
Adrian says, if Trump doesn't respect RFK and give him some power, Trump will lose some Republicans in 2 years. I think that's true. There were some Republicans who came back. That's true. Sue literally said, I'm glad Mike is back. She likes you. And she said, I disagree with Mike. I'm a lifelong Dem, joined RFK Jr. I voted for Trump through RFK and brought 31 RFK people to vote for Trump. This is not, she's not alone, Mike.
No.
I've seen.
I'm not saying
this was a big thing. This was a big thing.
People are taking it as if I'm saying it didn't exist or didn't. I'm not saying that. I said something very, very different. And Sue, I appreciate and I thank you because that's going to help our entire nation for everyone on so many levels. I'm not saying it didn't count. I don't want. We have been, you know, it's because the media has trained us so much that anyone who doesn't agree 100% must be evil. And I'm not saying they're saying that because they don't like me or we've been ingrained in us. It's Pavlovian at this point that when we hear someone who's giving us pushback, and especially if it's an issue that we're passionate about, it's like, oh my God, you're evil. You're wrong. I got to beat you down. It's like, wait a minute. I didn't.
All right.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I have a slightly different
got some
number.
news here. Heavy Metal Yankee says Pennsylvania called the Senate race. 53 seats for R and 45 for D as of now. Well, there we go. There we go. So there's something there.
Two more races to go.
All right. Let's see if I can go down here with a couple more of these. Mr. Matt's Arcade says finding Larry was a great thing that came from this election. Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. I had not heard of him before, and now I catch as many shows as I can. I appreciate. Please keep doing that. Yes, absolutely. Christine says the left is being so incredibly condescending. I would argue that hasn't changed. I think they have been for years. It's one of the reasons why they've been struggling. That condescension is, I mean, think about this for a minute. I mean, Mike, I know you're on my side with this. Mm-hmm. Think about this. Elon was a Democrat. Yep. Rogan was a Democrat. If you watch my Rogan show in 2018, I insulted him and called him a Democrat at the time. That's how left he was being with me because I was libertarian. And not just that, Tulsi was a Democrat. RFK, Democrat. Why did they leave? Because, to Jennifer's point also, they're demeaning. They're condescending. And if you don't, to Mike's point, if you don't follow exactly what we tell you, you gotta leave. And here's the point that I'll bring. You can, if you're a Democrat listening, or you're more left-leaning you're listening, I'm going to give you the actual reason that Trump became inevitable. It was one thing, and only one that made him inevitable. Not saying he wouldn't have won, but the second the Democrats' authoritarianism streak crushed them into not having a primary, that made Trump inevitable. If they would have had a primary, they might have found someone who could have beaten Trump. That would have been possible. But once they didn't do a primary, you couldn't do it. Those days were over. They made him inevitable by not having a primary. Having a primary, you don't know what could have happened. In theory, RFK could have won it, and he probably wouldn't have. But I'm saying, in theory, you can find somebody who could beat Trump if you have a hardcore. Everybody would have known that Harris can't win a goddamn primary. She would have never been the nominee. It might have been somebody who could raise money effectively, which was the DMC can do that, but who could have actually used it effectively and had a better candidate. They went out of their way. Their actual authoritarianism is what trashed them and made Trump inevitable. Without it, they had a shot. With it, they were done.
They had no choice because of the time frame, because of the situation they found themselves in. The only thing they would have done is they would have added some legitimacy, which they desperately needed, but they wouldn't have been able to get it. They had to pick Kamala because it was about money. It was about money. They had to.
It was because of their own authoritarianism. We're right. Yeah. We know. We decide. If they had just said, let's do a primary, they had a chance at finding somebody.
If they started the whole process, from the beginning. If they start from the beginning with primaries, RFK would never have left, and he'd actually be running against Trump and be a whole different scenario.
A whole different game. Now there's a chance. Now there's a shot at beating him. There's no shot at beating him without it. There's just none. And yes. Anyway, Ancap is $2. I liked you called Joe a Dem. Shock therapy. I know he backed off. You remember? He's like, I'm not a Dem. He backed off when I insulted him. I probably not a smart move to walk into Joe's and like in the first 10 minutes insult him. Probably not a smart move, but I did it anyway. I don't know why. Anyway,
being having an antagonistic position against a crowd. Gee, I can't imagine how that feels. Yeah.
Peace, Lodge. Thanks for the $5. I feel so much love right now, Larry. I'm optimistic. Love your show, brother. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. We are trying to produce some that I think is interesting, right?
No, it is an interesting conversation. I'm loving it. But that being said, let's move forward because they're trying to, they're beating up.
Here's what I want to go with. Here's my next step I want to go to here. The future of both parties. Here's where I want to see the future of both parties. Democratic Republican Party, the future of both. My gut says, you tell me what you think about this, that the Republican Party with this win is now in a tough spot. A good problem to have as a party, but still a problem. And that is the Republican Party now is filled with working class voters. It's filled with 3 or 4 or 5 specific, almost like single issue groups around it. And it wasn't ready for this. So it now has to figure out what it's going to be in the next year or two and how it's going to put these people together and or throw some out, whatever it's going to do. And is it going to become a part of the working class or not? I step from the Republican side. That's their challenge right now to deal with. Again, a good problem to have, but still a problem. Now, the Democrats have a different problem, and that is their ideology doesn't want them to change, but they need to do something, right? So my gut says what they have to do is figure out how can you absorb the neocons who are going to be running from the Republican Party now, the people who are like on the fringe Republicans, like the Lincoln Project guys and stuff like that. I think they'll just go full on Democrat. Now, Liz Cheney's will just go full on Democrat. And then how do they find their next Bill Clinton or their next Obama who can come up and use charisma and coolness to win people back? That's what I think the Democrats have to work on, what they're going to work on versus Republicans. Where's your head on these?
Well, the Republicans have dealt with this before. It's called the Tea Party. We saw this in 2010 going into 2012. This has happened before. At the decision at the time in 2010, 2012 is the Republican Party just absorbed them and then basically silenced them, took their voices away. And
absorbed them.
Mind you, they did get an election, depending on how you want to define it, 1 to 2 elections. They did get a significant number of votes in there. We saw the creation of the Freedom Caucus, which still does exist. It still has some power.
That too, though. No, it doesn't.
Huh?
No,
but it's not nearly what it was. But it does have some power. Like most caucuses, it has some power on certain issues. But so that's the plan that the Republican Party has gone with consistently, because seniority tends to lead the party and they tend to follow that. Now, the difference this time is with this new growth of individuals, it's that they want to also go in a it's not about seniority. It's about the issues, which Republicans haven't really been about issues. They've been about seniority. They've been very establishment for a long time now. And so now we're shifting from the mindset that's happening is Republicans are shifting from the seniority establishment point of view towards issues. And I think this is a positive. And I think this works because regardless of your seniority, whether you're establishment or not, issues always win. That's what people vote on. And that's what's important for the nation. That's what guides the nation are the issues themselves. And now that we have that additional focus with the manpower to make it actually happen, now I think that's something you're going to see. So going forward, you're going to see a resurgence of the Freedom Caucus, a further growth of that faction within the Republican Party, and it's going to be fine. The Republicans have done it before. They don't like the establishment, don't like it, but they
100%.
can't stop it. And it's happened before.
But this is my worry with this. What you just said worries me.
What?
Because I look at the Tea Party, and
Yeah.
here's what they did for the Tea Party. They said, oh, Tea Party, great. Hey, come on in. And why don't we, all the leaders, let's give you a show on Newsmax. Let's give you a show on OAN. Let's give you a show on Fox on the weekends, and shut up. That's what happened with the Tea Party. It was silenced, right? They were absorbed and silenced. But the Tea Party still kind of belongs to the Republican Party. They absorbed them and silenced them. Same thing with the Freedom Caucus. The guy who ran the Freedom Caucus was Justin Amash. They ran him out. The other one who ran it was Thomas Massey, and he's a pariah in the Republican Party. So the Freedom Caucus is not what it used to be. Again, shrunk and crushed. My worry is they're going to take medical freedom, take Maha, absorb them, silence them, give them jobs on Fox News, give them jobs on OAN, give them jobs on Newsmax, and silence them. What you just said is exactly my worry.
I understand, but no, that's not going to happen because, one, the Tea Party, while it was very popular, it was very small, it was ill-defined, it was and it was too widespread. It's kind of like the Occupy movement. It was different everywhere you went to. So there was no real center to it. There was no focal point and no focal individuals, no focal policy, just a general feeling of anger, just like the Occupy movement. Now, the difference with this is we do have a focal person. We have several. We have RFK, we have Tulsi, we have Elon, we have possibly Ron Paul. We have focal figures. We have focal issues. Maha is about healthcare. So we have healthcare. We have government efficiency. We have focal points that are coming in now. And because you have defined individuals with a defined goal, specific issues, it doesn't go away because those issues don't disappear.
Well, Angry Capitalist agrees with you. Thank you for the $5. He says the coalition faces RFK, Elon, Vance, Tulsi, etc. are representing the facets of the new Republican identity. How well they work on policy will determine a lot. I think he's on your side with this one, Mike. I think he agrees. Yeah. All right, so maybe I feel better because I am a little concerned. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't be concerned. It's we are moving towards an issue-based party, and those issues are very significant. Yes, we're going to them from a conservative point of view, not an emotional point of view. We're not looking to manipulate people on their emotions. That's what Democrats do. But actually focusing on the efficiency of those issues, the effectiveness of those issues. That's what Republicans and conservatives have consistently done, and that's where we're moving towards. As for the Democrats...
Yeah, where'd Democrats go?
Well, Democrats are... they double down. They're going to double down. They're a cult. They're going to double down. Because they think they're right.
Yes. However, what about what I said, right? I think, and some people in the chat are like, Clinton and Obama are no good now. That's true. I said a new one. Clinton can't save this party. Obama can't save this party. There has to be a new guy or gal that shows up.
Newsom,
and says,
Whitmer, Pritzker out of Illinois. Those are the three.
Someone's got to pop up and be that new one, right? It's not Obama. It's not Clinton. You guys who are talking about that? I'm not talking about that. I'm saying they're looking for someone like that. But let me go to what I'm saying.
Not Bashar.
Aren't they going to absorb?
Good choice.
Aren't they going to absorb the neocons now?
They don't. Well, no, because they don't like them. They don't want them.
They are them. They're all fucking neocons. They literally brought Liz Cheney on board, dude.
No, they hate Cheney. And by taking in Cheney, they actually
on.
No, the progressive wing absolutely despise Cheney, and they'd love to try and, God help her, she shows up at a rally, a riot, a protest, and they're there. She's not safe. No, they hate them. They hate them. They don't want them. They want them to be isolated and abandoned. They're happy that the Republicans that they left the Republicans.
They're going to grab Nikki Haley like in 5 seconds to be a goddamn Democrat. Come on.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't, because their base would actually revolt against it, and they know it. They'll use them for an election against Trump. They won't take them in. They don't want to give them a home. It's like saying that would they take back RFK? Of course not. They will not do that.
No,
So
they would not take RFK. I agree.
okay,
But he's a traitor.
it's the same thing. It's the
No,
same
it isn't,
reason.
because RFK is a traitor. That's a difference.
Yes,
Cheney's not a
and the
traitor.
Cheneys are the devil. So no, they're not going to take them. These are people that they despise. They will never take them in. They would rather see them be homeless and have no power whatsoever. They're
Okay,
happier with
except
that.
they have cash and
Huh?
lots of it. They have
Democrats
cash
aren't screaming and
and
crying
lots.
about cash.
They
They
always
get
do.
they get they had a month and what? Kamala Harris raised $1 billion as of
You're not wrong.
October 16th that she
You're not wrong.
spent in a month. I don't know, in less than a month, she spent $1 billion and is $20 million in the hole. I
All
don't
right,
know how you
hold
do
on.
that. They're not worried
Robert
about
Reed
money.
even says it. He goes, that's why I say there's going to be a split in Democratic Party, because they'll be willing to absorb some of those middle of the road, Republicans, because that's who they were already chasing. So
No.
my point is, I think they'll take this. This election was a loss for two groups.
Yeah.
Independent parties who got slaughtered because so many independents voted for Trump instead of voting in their own party, and far left, the people who were the Jill Stein voters, because I think that I think that Robert is right. There's a chunk of the Democrats who want to stay more left-leaning in their economics, who want to stay more left-leaning in that world.
Yeah.
But the money's not there. The money is in trying to absorb middle-of-the-road wealthy Republicans. That's where the cash is. That's why I think the neocons win the battle in Democratic Party.
They're not going to get the Koch brothers. It's not going to change. They're not going to get the Halliburton money. It's not going to happen. They can pray and hope, but it's not like they're running out of money. I mean, all they have to do is, stop funding BLM, and they've got what? That's another $90 million right there. So, I mean, it's not like they're running out of money. They're fine with that. And remember, they are believers. They don't care. They're believers. So they will keep running down this road because they think they're right, and they figure the money will come. They will get it from the rank and file because the rank and file doesn't know any better, and they don't think for themselves. This is the Democrat point of view. This is what they have said consistently. That's what they're saying right now. Joy Reid right now is saying this very thing to the Democrats, and Democrats are going, yeah,
that's now.
Yeah, Joy.
See, Jennifer's with me. She goes, Lincoln Project can go with them. And I think they will.
No, I wish they would, but they won't
Project will go right to Democrats. This is now. I'm talking 3 months from now when they realize that's what's going to happen. I do think that they're going to go right there. Sarah says, thank you for being a member, Sarah.
No,
Mike is wrong on this one. Have you heard Sand Hill Road, Whiskey Hill Road, Kleiner Perkins? The money from the Democrats is all BlackRock and neocon now. I could see that. I don't know, maybe. All right, let me go to the final thing then. We brought this up, and you and I disagree on timing on this. We agree it's going to happen, but on timing. I think he's going to end the Ukraine war. I think Zelensky is scared as can be because he's like, okay, I guess I'm done now. So he's worried, I'm sure. And I think he's going to end the war in the Middle East too. I think he's going to end both of them. You think the war will be over by January? I do not.
Yes.
I think there'll be a ceasefire by January, but no documents drawn up yet. I do not see any documents drawn at all. I think the documents aren't drawn up till
a ceasefire is the end of the war. If the fighting stops for a ceasefire, it's over. It's done. Ukraine is not going to go back into the fighting if they get a break.
Okay, let's be clear. The Russians will, if they don't get what they want. The Russians will start the war machine
will get
again.
Everything they want. They'll get.
Then they'll be fine. But my point is, I think there'll be a ceasefire by January. And the sad part about this is, in my view, is that they will just do what we've done in the past 50 years. We will just throw Ukraine under the bus, like to throw them right on the bus.
Of course.
We'll throw them under the bus.
Why wouldn't
we supported them and told them that we were going to do all this great stuff. And we'll throw them right under the bus. That's what I think is going to happen in Ukraine. And I think there's going to be pressure put on both. And I know some people think that Trump is going to do one or the other. He's either going to bribe Iran with cash or the reverse, threaten Iran with violence. I think he will do both. I think he will use both of them. I think he will use both the threat of attack and the benefit, and here's my benefit I think he's going to do. He's going to try to get in between what China's doing now, which China right now is putting together both the Iranians and Saudis in different ways. I think that Trump will try to get in between that and somehow make things work well for Iran and Saudi Arabia if they end this. I think he'll do both, carrot and stick, and I think he'll end that will also, ceasefire, maybe not an agreement yet, also by January. That's my 2 cents. Go ahead.
So I get your, and again, we agree with the outcome. We don't agree with necessarily the path and necessarily the timing, which is fine. But I do believe, and we've already, like I said, Putin has already put out the first feeler, which is what I expected, because he doesn't want to have to deal with Trump. He will be in a losing position because Trump, he generates fear, and he has respect and fear because he's a strong leader, and he's not going to get away with the things that he gets away with an Obama or with a Biden or with a Harris. He knows that. So his best answer right now, realistically, is to do exactly what he did with Obama. He takes the ceasefire, takes the land that he's gotten, he sits back, rebuilds his army, rebuilds his supplies, and the next time there's a weak president in America, goes right back in and picks up where he left off. This is great for him. He gets to rebuild his infrastructure. He will do this. He will do this. He is motivated.
Dave says a ceasefire will not end the war. Russia wants Ukraine. That doesn't guarantee peace. All that means the U.S. won't have to worry about Ukrainians anymore. I disagree with both of you on this one.
No, Dave is missing something in this that I think it's very important for the context.
Go ahead.
What Russia wants out of the Ukraine is the wheat, the uranium, the fertilizer, and access to the sea. They've already got it. They already have won those things. This is just, everything else is bonus. That's why he wanted the western portion and the southern portion of the Ukraine.
The
eastern portion of Ukraine and southern portion of Ukraine for wheat, uranium, fertilizer, and access to the sea. They've got that. Everything else is bonus.
I agree with you.
Willing to wait 4 years to get the rest of it.
But my point is, I think that he'll just create a deal to where the Ukraine is a rump state in some way, shape, or form. That it will, some type of deal like that, no NATO, so that he'll be able to get what he wants through trade deals, whatever the case may be. I think if he gets what he wants in Ukraine, I don't think he goes to war again. I think he just accepts it and moves on because he's got what he wants. That's what I think. I don't think he'll go any further. I think he'll just he said, declare victory, and then move on. That's my gut.
No. There's a reason why Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania are all terrified, because they're the next ones on the list. Moldova doesn't really count because they're just too tiny. They'll get rolled over. There's a reason why Poland has been building up and building and rebuilding, reinforcing their wall, because Belarus is a problem and it's a puppet for Russia proper. So his goal, what we can see from Putin and what everyone in that region is been saying, is he's reassembling the old SSSR. And so they're on guard. This is why we see that Norway and Sweden, they've been building their walls as well. They are seeing a resurgence of the old Prussian empire. And so they're terrified. Prussian, not Russian. Prussian.
Poland is Prussia.
I understand.
That's not a Prussian empire. It's a Russian empire. Poland is Prussia.
Excuse me. I'm thinking under the Tsars. Not, well, that is kind of in the same Prussian area.
The capital of Prussia was Berlin.
I understand.
The area of Prussia is now Poland.
I understand. But at the end of the Prussian Empire, where the Tsars were taking over, or am I confusing my time periods?
You're confusing time period.
I could be confusing my time periods.
Russia took over Germany.
I'm thinking under the Tsars.
Correct.
And they're rebuilding that empire to make it more clear. So under the Tsars, they're rebuilding that empire, which is very similar to the old SSR, old USSR Soviet bloc that they had in the past. And that's why everyone's terrified, because Putin's goal is isn't so much Ukraine today. It's the resources. It's the food
All right.
today, which
We
gives
will
him the
find out.
fuel to go and fight everything else.
I think you guys are all wrong. I think Ukraine's going to become a puppet state just like Belarus, and he's not going to go any further. I don't think he's going to invade any of the Baltic states. I don't think any of it's going to happen. I think once he gets that, he's going to be fine. That's what I think. We'll see if I'm right or wrong.
Once we get another weak president in, he goes right after the Baltics.
Hal says Putin can't walk away with nothing. The question is, will Zelensky be willing to give up something? Here's what Zelensky's going to do. Zelensky's going to do. Zelensky's going to move to Florida. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. He already has land here. That's a fact. He already has land here. He will move to Florida because he can't stay in Ukraine if this thing ends the way it's going to end. So the deal is he packs up and leaves, goes to Florida, takes the money he's stolen, keeps that cash in his buddies. That's the deal. And then they put in a pro-Putin president. That's what I see happening. And I know it's terrible because the reality of it is Jennifer is correct. It was all a waste and for money. For us, yes, it was. For us, it's fine because we're going to make money off of BlackRock will make money for it. But all those people who died, and were wounded and maimed, terrible. Sarah says it right. We never cared about Ukraine or Moldova or anywhere Russia's taken. We never cared. America did not care, and we're going to totally throw them under the bus, and it's horrible. Horrible. Yeah, Greg's on your side.
People think that, oh, well, Putin, he just will give up. He's not. He has a far bigger.
Yep.
You have to look at the history of the area, the region, and what has historically always happened. And by the way, Russia has always gone in and taken over Ukraine every time through all the empires, throughout hundreds of years. This is normal because they have those resources. That's why they go in. And once they get those resources, they then expand outwards from there. That you don't have to believe me. Ask Estonia what they think is going to happen right now. Ask Sweden what they think is going to happen. Just even Poland will tell you they are seeing the same thing that I'm speaking about right now. The whole point is they're going to pause. Russia will pause, and they will absorb this infrastructure and the resources, and then they will redeploy the next time they see a weak president from the United States that will give them the room to rush in there. Just like they did. This is exactly what they did in 2014 with Obama. This is exactly what we saw here under Biden.
Let me grab the AC. Thank you for being a member, AC. Too bad we're going to lose all that money. The AC goes on to say, we lend-leased all those munitions to Ukraine. Obviously, Putin is going to pay us back. The opposite. Putin is going to demand reparations. I'm not joking. Putin's going to say, look, all the damage being done. He's going to demand. And now he may not get them, but that's where he's going to begin with his negotiations. Sure. I guarantee you. Putin is going to begin his negotiations with, you got to pay me. That's where he starts. We'll see where that ends, but that's where he's going to start.
He's not going to, he can stray that, and Trump will not give him that, obviously. And no, we were never going to, by the way, for people who are saying, oh, well, we were going to get the money back. If Ukraine wins, we would get, no, they don't have the GDP. We could,
correct.
We literally have given them over $250 billion, just the United States alone, well over $250 billion. The GDP in the best environment, best economy for the Ukraine is $175 billion. That's their total GDP. They'd have to empty out all their bank accounts, the entire country. Yes. We own it all. We were never going to get this money back. We were never going to get the munitions back. That was never the point. The point was to bankrupt the Soviet Union, which didn't work. I
got to go to one more now. This is the economy.
Well, we never dealt with, we didn't get to Iran.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Israel. I'm caring about the Gaza war. Okay. Gaza war. Tell me your Gaza. I think he's going to end that too. Ceasefire by January. And I think he will use both the carrot and the stick on Iran. And I think Iran will agree because Iran is going to say they won by whatever carrot he gives them. And Trump is going to say he won by whatever stick he uses. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, no, that's not the way they're going to do it.
Tell me how.
Iran is it. This is a war with Iran. Let's all understand clearly. Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas are all puppets of Iran. They do the bidding of Iran. And so Iran is the person we should be negotiating with. This is how Thailand got all of their people, all their hostages, all 14 of them. How did they get them back? They went and talked to Iran. They didn't talk to anyone
I'm saying
else.
we're going to talk to Iran. I'm literally saying that.
I understand. But here's how we talk to Iran. He's not going to offer them a carrot. He is going to give them a stick. And the stick's going to be that he's going to kill them with the sanctions. He's going to put them back into the same scenario of sanctions, actually worse scenario of sanctions than when he left office last time, which was actually being very effective against the Iranian government. And that will also take away their ability to make as many drones and as many rockets as they have been. Now, Iran is going to see that coming. They do see that coming. And
of course.
And the impetus and the only way that Trump gets away with actually putting on those sanctions at this point so immediately and so harshly is because of the hostages being held by Hamas. So you're going to see Iran tell Hamas to actually accept the ceasefire that has been offered for the entire year. And they're going to give back the dead bodies of the American hostages as well as the dead bodies of the British hostages, because I believe they're all dead. Because we know Hamas will kill the hostages rather than let them go. They've killed them all. We're going to get back the bodies with an agreement, and this is the key for the ceasefire, that we cannot retaliate because they're dead. And that's the only thing they're going to ask for. They're going to say, you know what? We're finally going to accept it. We're going to hand over all the hostages. We know that we get an immediate ceasefire. All the world has guaranteed that. We need protection. You cannot retaliate if they're dead. And that's going to be the answer. And this is why they're going to do this under Biden, because Biden needs a win. Biden needs something politically to hang his hat on after all this fiasco. And so he's going to take that agreement because it makes him look good, like he did something successful at the end of his days, rather than give it to Trump. They want to do it before Trump because Trump will still retaliate. He doesn't care. So that's why they're going to do that. That gets Iran off the hook, so they can't get as harsh a set of sanctions, nor as quickly as Trump might want to do. You will see the Houthis, who have been having I call it a secret second war in the Red Sea that we've been fighting for 11 months of the entire year, roughly 10 months of the year, that we've been fighting with the Houthis. They're going to stop because all of their drones, all of their missiles are coming from Iran. Iran is also going to shut them down and say, let the ships go through. Hezbollah will also back off. This is all coming from Iran. It's because we're willing to put the economic pressure on them and possibly threaten them with bombing some of their, they'll say their energy facilities, it's their nuclear facilities and their missile facilities. And we will threaten that. And they don't want to mess with it. So you'll see that back off. It's all going to happen before January.
Roy says it's a war with Iran's religious leadership, not the Iranian people, who
Didn't say it was the people
being wasted on funding terrorism. I agree with him. I think he's totally right. Right. Regime change would change a lot in Iran. That's for sure.
But that's not going to happen. Regime change isn't going to happen.
Correct. But it doesn't mean he's wrong. He's still correct. I think he's right.
I've never said it's a war. I've never said it's a war with the people. I think the people in Iran, given an opportunity, and we've seen this, the Green Movement in Iran under Obama's administration, they have tried to revolt. They have tried to break free. I believe they really do want to see that. They don't want to see their school kids, their schoolgirls getting poisoned because they're learning to read and write. So I agree. It's not a war against their people. These are about governments. These are about the leadership institutions, but this is how you deal with the leadership.
Adrian, and thank you for being a member. Larry, I like your take. It makes more sense and more like Trump. That's why I think I'm going to be writing this one. I think we're going to see in 4 or 5 months, I'm going to be writing this one. We'll see. That's okay, Mike. I'll bring you back. It's all good. This time, maybe I'll beat you up on that one. I hope I can. We'll see. The AC says Biden didn't lift any of those sanctions, did he? He did, actually. Biden did lift sanctions. He did make some changes. He did.
Massively lifted. He's been lifting sanctions since the first day he got in office.
He did.
Literally, factually, by executive order on the first day, he was lifting sanctions, and he's been doing it all the way up until a month and a half ago.
But I have a serious issue that I do think Jennifer has a valid point on. She goes, doesn't work, see Russia. My worry is, since we've done so many sanctions against Russia in these last couple of years, since the Russians have found a way around it, and in their axis, they call it the intelligence agency calls it the axis of dishevel.
Yeah.
It is Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China.
Yeah.
And they have found ways around a de-dollarization piece. My worry is, in these last couple of years, how much has Iran, Russia, China, all of those people, how much have they set up to it? The sanctions now won't be as effective. And that's why I think, hold on, let me get my point. That is why I think there will have to also be a carrot. Because I think that the sanctions will not be as effective as they were before, because I think they have set up systems to blunt the effect. That's my issue. Go ahead.
Okay. You're not entirely wrong with that, in that they did create the Biden, because of the way he did this, he drove all four of those nations together, and they found alternate systems to get around some of the sanctions, not all of the sanctions, and not all of the money. But the key here in the linchpin is Russia. See, Iran doesn't have enough of the resources of its own. It has to import many of the resources. So sanctions are effective against Iran in a way that it's not against Russia, because Russia has they have almost as many resources as the United States has. So that's, you can see, and this is part of the reason why they're doing so much trade with China, with North Korea, and with Iran. And most of the trade with Iran is for missiles, rockets, and drones. That's primarily their exchange with Russia. But if Russia is no longer in the middle of a war, if they're in a ceasefire, extended peacetime, looking for their rebuilding and infrastructure, they're not going to be trading as much, nor do they have a reason, because they'll be able to, again, open up the pipelines that they have going into Europe. They'll be able to trade more freely and more easily with their oil and gas, which is one of their biggest commodities.
Yes, but that's part of the carrot part I'm talking about, right?
Well, no, that's good for Russia.
Yes,
but it's a problem for Iran, because they no longer have to deal with Iran directly as much as they had. The sanctions actually kick in because that's been broken. You have to break that group of their interdependence. The moment that they can go outside of these four countries and get what they want to raise money,
but
they
BRICS
will
is
no
like
longer
11
be going in between.
Hold on. BRICS is like 11, 12 countries now, 14, 15, whatever the hell it is now. They just met in Kazan.
It's actually 12 people with 20 that are interested. It doesn't actually work, but it doesn't work. It's not effective. It doesn't exist.
But it does exist. You know it exists. And it blunts the sanctions.
It doesn't functionally exist. They want to have an alternative currency. It doesn't exist. They want to have several countries join in. No one's willing to do that. Everyone's willing to have the conversation about it. They want to talk about the alternative, but they won't do the alternative. It's not there.
They are literally agreeing to do transactions in the ruble, in the RMB. They're agreeing to do transactions where they didn't before.
They were doing those transactions in those currencies anyway.
No, they weren't. Dude, 90% of all international transactions
Russia has too many embargoes. They have too many sanctions and embargoes against them not to use the ruble. And more importantly, they use the Chinese yuan, because Russia is locked up on the ruble for most of the countries. So they've been doing that anyway. That's not new. That isn't new. BRICS has not been effective. If BRICS was effective, they wouldn't be talking about adding 20 members. They'd be at 50.
Then why the Saudis joining BRIC?
They didn't.
The Saudis did so. Yes, they did. They're part of the BRICS. Yes, they are.
No, they were talking about it. They never went through.
The Saudis have literally agreed. They have agreed that they will now sell their oil, not dollars. The petrodollar is no longer the monopoly anymore in Saudi Arabia. That's already been done. That's because of BRICS directly.
No, that was something they've been talking about for a long time.
And they actually did it. And that's my point. And they did it when they went to BRICS.
That's not new. That's not because of BRICS. That's something that's the Middle East has been talking about, moving from the petrodollar for a long time. That has to do with politics.
And they did it.
That's not because of BRICS. And
All right.
I do not believe BRICS is effective. It's not an effective alternative.
I didn't say it was effective. I said what it does, it blunts America's sanctions. That's what I said. And I don't stand by that. It's absolutely true.
I do not. It's not functional enough to be able to do that. Hang on a second.
All right.
I'm trying to do two things here. I'm trying to research and find.
Don't worry about it. It's not worried. I want to go back to one more thing.
On Saudi Arabia, because I do not. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
As of 1 week ago, Saudi Arabia officially declines BRICS membership. 1 week ago. As I said, they're not part of BRICS. Saudi Arabia is not part of BRICS.
But it's fine. But they're taking rubles to sell their oil thing. They were not. No,
that's not new.
Not. This was dollars, petrodollars, my friend.
They have taken petrodollars. They have also taken rubles. They have taken yuan. They have taken other currencies as well.
BRICS is
not
nothing.
In the largest number.
You're right.
That's not new.
Watch. By next year, you'll be back on and I'll be telling you how wrong you are. Just watch. You'll see. Anyway, let's move on to the next piece. The last piece I'm going to bring up is getting back to Americans. I remember someone saying, I forgot where I saw this, or maybe someone was asking me this question. Someone asked me this question exactly. And I think this is a key piece. A lot of people think the economy is about to tank. If that's true, and I don't know if it's true, a lot of people think it. That is true. A lot of people think it is true. Will it happen? I don't know.
Yes.
But a lot of people think it. If that's true, is Trump in a bad spot? In other words, he's going to take over and the economy crashes. And you know how Americans think. The economy crashes while Trump's in office. It's Trump's fault.
Right.
You know that's how Americans think.
That's how the media is going to push it.
And how the Americans will think. Media pushes or not. Americans always think that. When it happens when you're president, that's how it works. That's how they think. So let me ask you.
Go ahead.
So let me ask you, is this a problem? Right? IC even says it. She says Trump's picking up a hot potato of an economy. Is that happening? Right?
Right.
Go ahead.
One, we've been in a recession since August of 2022. That's a fact. That's why they changed in August of 2022. They changed the definition of what a recession is so that Joe Biden didn't have to admit that so they wouldn't lose in the midterm elections. That's what they did. So we've been in a recession since August 2022. Like many other nations, we see that throughout Europe and the rest of the world, they're in recessions as we speak. That's not going to end until at the earliest 2026 by my estimate. One of the key factors of that is that we need food. We are in a food deficit, a global food deficit. Not deficit. Deficit. Sorry.
Deficit. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking too much today, but we're in a deficit because of what's been happening with Ukraine. We have less fertilizer.
I get it. But I'm asking when it hits.
I understand. So that means that 2025, even if the war were to end today, because we have to grow the food and get everything shipped around the world at the soonest, because of the food and energy would not be affected until 2026 at the soonest. So are we going to be in a recession? Yes. And somewhere probably around March, we're going to see that the news media is all going to turn on Trump and say, hey, the economy's horrible because of Trump. You made the wrong choice. And they will declare that we're in a recession, even though we've already been in one. So he's going to have a lot of negative press. The key here is, does he turn it around? If we do see the end of the fighting, he has the opportunity to turn around the economy legitimately by 2026. If he does have that improvement by 2026, which I think he will, and I think we can see that, then everyone forgives the first year. They blame it on Biden and the carryover. Everyone forgets by the time the next election comes up, or even by the midterms. That's the key. But the first year, 2025, I don't care who you would have picked. I don't care how much power you give them. We're going to be continuing to be in a recession. There's not enough food in the world. It's 30% less than there should be. Energy is not We're not selling an energy independent enough. We're not selling it. And that's another factor. We have inflation, which on January, by the end of January, we will have a new debt ceiling of at least 37 trillion, if not 38 trillion dollars. That's an increase of another 2 to 3 trillion dollars. So we're talking about 7.5% increase. That's inflation, which means instantly the entire nation will have another 7% of inflation added on to what we're dealing with now.
So hold on. So you think 2025 is going to be rough no matter what?
No matter what.
You think Trump can pull it out in 2026 and then we'll forgive him? That's what you think?
If we get all the prerequisites in place early enough. He has to literally, we have to see all the fighting done and trade agreements, trade routes reopened into Ukraine by March, at the latest by March, so we can get that summer growth cycle going. We would have to see that America, he has to instantly release the leases or issue new leases for oil and gas instantly. And I'm not talking about finding it. I mean, build a road, build a pipeline.
Yeah. Yep.
Those leases that don't exist at this moment have to be given back. We have to get some kind of stability in Southeast Asia, which means helping the Philippines, helping South Korea, and helping Japan, like immediately get the stability and get China to back off of the aggression that they've been doing so that we can get some more confidence, economic confidence there, and we can get some trade back. If he can do all of that by roughly March, which is a lot, then 2026 will be out of this recession. We'll be fine.
Let me grab another super chat. A little bit late in this one, Angry Capitalist. I apologize. $2. They will either become full neocon or Bolshevik. I think the Democrats can go either way, or maybe even both. I agree with you. I think that could actually happen. But let me talk to my audience for a minute. Guys, if you like this conversation, then click the button known as like. Hit it with any appendage you want. Nose, eye, ear, toe. I don't care. I'm not watching. Do whatever you want. Just click it. I don't care either one. No matter what, do that, please. If you are watching, please share this in some way, shape, or form. If you want to retweet it, repost, whatever case may be, do so. Subscribe if you have not. It's insane that you would not subscribe. It's free. Or follow me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter if you're not. Just follow. It's okay. Thank you all for the super chats. I love them. It's always great when you do that. And of course, membership, critical piece. If you can become a member, it makes everything easier. I can spend more time doing this and less time working during the day. It'd be nice if I could do more of this. I wouldn't mind doing 95 hours like Mike does, but I just can't. I got to work. So please, memberships are always a good thing. But no matter what you do, Mike has given us a lot of time today. So please reward him by going and following him on Rumble at No Soundbites Allowed. He's also on YouTube. Also, if you want to go there also. But Rumble is where he likes you to go because they aren't babysitters like YouTube is. You can say regular words and such. I can't say words here on YouTube. You can say stuff on Rumble. So please follow him there if you could. That would be amazing. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
There's a lot of stuff that we're talking about today, and we took this is a very large subject that we're talking about, which is why there's so many other things we're talking about, and we can go into more detail. I do go into more detail on my channel, sometimes 7 hours long, going into the details and answering the questions that some of you guys have, kind of like the anti-corporatist. I see your question there. Aren't there 10,000 leases already issued? Again, what I said is the leases for not for oil and gas exploration. The leases for once you find the oil and gas, you need another lease to be able to build a road to that oil deposit. Then you have to have another lease to be able to have a pipeline from that oil deposit on that road back into a refinery or any kind of back to the refineries. So those are the leases you're talking about. So yes, there are thousands of leases that have already been issued, but there are leases, the connecting, the infrastructure, those are the leases that they cut. So that's why Biden can say, oh yeah, we released all the oil and gas exploration and they just don't use them. It's because you can't build a road. To find the oil, I can't do anything with it. I can't actually bring the equipment to the oil and gas to be able to develop, to even search for it. So it's a catch-22. It's the way they play games with this to make it sound like, oh yeah, we're doing everything to help you when they're actually cutting people off at the knees. So these are some of the things we talk more about.
There we go. What I do want to wrap up with, if I could.
Sure.
I think that we've done a lot on, I think, why things happened. The last thing I'm going to ask you has America changed?
That's a good last one to go into. You would think, according to the TikToks, the social media, the Joy Reids of the world, I'm picking on her, The View, same thing. You would think that overnight, women have suddenly lost all of their rights. The 19th Amendment doesn't exist anymore. The Constitution has been burned. The amendments don't exist. This is the impression they want to put in you, the fear that they want in you so that they can regain power. No, America hasn't changed. America isn't suddenly ist and phobe. We're no more racist than we've been. We're no more transphobic than we've been. The fact is that the only thing that's really changed is we have less forced compliance than we had before this election. We're starting to have conversations that people don't necessarily like. We're starting to contemplate options that before you were told, don't even think about them. You were told, just obey and keep your head down and be quiet. Women didn't lose anything. I know, like I said, they're running around right now screaming about, I'm cutting their hair off and trying to look like Star Wars outlaws. But no, you haven't lost anything. Women didn't lose any rights.
I'm gonna give you pushback on this. I think we have changed.
How?
And I'm gonna tell you where I think we've changed. I think Americans have changed in two ways. One, we are really unhappy compared to what we have been. I think a lot of Americans feel lost, purposeless, more than we've had in the past. I think we're unhappy. I think it's before that, but yes, the lockdowns were devastating for us socially. I agree. That sped things up. I agree. But I think that's true. That piece right there is a critical piece to me that I think we're unhappier.
Okay,
which
wait,
means,
let me clarify something. Are we talking about, has America changed from this election moving forward? Or are we talking about
just
before?
in general. I mean,
Okay,
because
slightly different.
In the last 20
answer.
years, gotta remember something. In the last 20 years, Republicans have not won the popular vote since Bush.
Yeah.
We haven't had a Republican blowout like this since maybe Reagan. I mean, we haven't had a blowout like this Republican. Yeah. So my question is it that Trump has changed the Republican Party? Is that the issue? Or did America change? And I think while Trump is a very special figure, no doubt, whether you love him or hate him, he's a very special figure. I agree with that. He's transformational in many ways. That's true. Again, love him or hate him, that's a fact. But I also think America changed. I think America has become far more unhappy, which means, and that's been happening, which means now America does no longer trust the establishment to make things work. They think the establishment has failed them. So when you get a rebel, someone like Bernie, someone like Trump, when you get that kind of person, America is ready to embrace that person because I know what's working now is not working, and being establishment is not working. So they're more open to whoever that person may be. Am I wrong?
Kind of. So, I mean, trust has been an issue in America since Nixon. We're talking about the 1970s.
That's when it began. I agree. Watergate was a huge piece. Agreed.
Massive sea change in the way that we look at our government and the trust that we have in our government and the news media. And so that started a change there. Most recently, going over the last 20 years, since about 2008, I think Obama really did usher in an era of unhappiness. I mean, the left, even when they're winning and getting everything they want, they're unhappy. They're miserable people. The policies that they are pushing onto people because they have to push it onto people make people miserable. It's divisive, and being divisive and exclusionary makes people angry and bitter and confrontational. because it's not a natural way to deal with things. So we have been changing, especially in the last 20 years, very quickly into this very divided, very isolated, very angry
That's my point.
mentality. So I do agree with that, but I do see a counter to that is happening at the same time. And that is that, and you're mentioning it, where because of that huge movement towards authoritarianism, the natural American spirit of the underdog and being free and individualistic has also grown. So that's why I say no one has right now. If you're listening to media, if you're listening to any of the media, whether it's news or social media, they're trying to tell you that you're being oppressed, that you are burdened, that you can't do this without government, and it has to be a democratic government. This is the mentality and the psychology that they are promoting. You have no agency. Only the government can provide you the agency you need, and so you should be angry now. But we haven't lost anything. We didn't lose any of our rights.
That isn't my point. What we have lost is something else. Losing trust was one thing that began, right? You're right. Yeah. 72, 75, that's when it began. I agree with you. The Vietnam War era was a disaster for us. I agree. Mm-hmm. But something else happened. During the time of I guess Reagan to Clinton, we at least were making tons of money. That was happening. It was a boom for a lot of Americans in general. They started making some cash. Since then, a lot of American families are far worse off. So now I'm unhappy. I'm lonely. I can't buy a house. I can't get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? I can't get married, right? All those things that make people unhappy. To your point, I'm not saying you're wrong on anything you said, but doesn't that then, by default, doesn't that make me open to both sides? Doesn't it make me open to Bernie saying, I have all the answers, socialism is the answer. I'm open. I'm like, hey, you got to answer. And doesn't it also make me open to Trump when Trump will say things that prior to Trump, no politician said? Now he says them. Isn't that a part of us that opens us up to both sides of that?
Okay. Not talking about the fringes, because they always exist and they're separate. Talking about the middle of America.
But hold on. Let me touch a piece you just said. If you go back 30 years, mm-hmm. Trump was fringe. And so was Bernie. Now they're not. And that's my point.
No, they still are fringe. It's just that we accept them. No, they're
that's
just
not
as
fringe then, by default. They're not fringe.
They are fringe.
70 some odd million people voted for Trump. That's not fringe.
Yes. Because they didn't have a choice.
By default, not fringe.
They didn't have a choice. What were they going to pick? They were going to pick
Harris wasn't fringe?
No, they weren't. They're not going to pick Harris? Jill. They're not going to pick Chase. They're not going to. They didn't have an option.
60 million people picked Harris.
I understand that. She's actually closer to the norm of what we've been expecting from Democrats.
That's my point. Yes.
Trump is an extreme. He's not the middle.
But he's not fringe.
He is fringe.
Fine. Okay. He's fringe now. Fine.
We're talking politically, and we're talking about what is traditional in the United States.
Yes. Okay. Maybe we're talking about each other.
He is fringe.
And that's my point. He was fringe. Compared to the norm, Trump is absolutely fringe. However, he is no longer actually fringe.
He's not part of the establishment.
Want him.
Yes. He's not,
literally my point.
He's not part of the establishment. He is fringe.
Okay, let's go back to one more piece and see if I can get this through here the right way. Put Trump in a primary in 2004. He loses. Yes. He does not win a primary in 2004. He does not. He loses. Put Bernie in a primary 2004, and assuming the Democrats don't destroy him, assuming that they were actually fair and don't destroy Bernie loses.
Yes.
Put Bernie and Trump in 2016, if the Democrats don't literally just become authoritarians and destroy Bernie wins that primary.
No.
That's the change I'm talking about.
Well, yes, Bernie wins the Democratic primary. Yes, he does.
He does. He wins the primary, 100%.
But that doesn't mean he's not fringe. It just means people are desperate. It means that
Yes.
they're in a desert and they're starving, but that doesn't
Yes.
not make him fringe. He's still
But
fringe.
they weren't there in 2004. They weren't there in,
I
in
understand that.
1992.
They didn't
weren't there in
become
1984.
centrist. Just because people are desperate and sometimes that's the best option available to them, doesn't make it centrist. Bernie isn't centrist. Neither
I
is
didn't
Trump.
say it was centrist.
I
I said the
understand.
American population
They are
is
fringe.
now open. Fine, they're fringe. Fuck it, they're fringe. You win. I don't care. My point is America is now open to them. That's my
America
point.
doesn't have an option.
Yes, it does. You can go back to Harris. That option was right
that's
there.
not an option.
No,
That's
because you're
not an
Republican. But to Americans, that was an option.
No,
but they
apparently
said
not.
no.
Apparently,
was
very much not.
68 million Americans thought it was. So that was an option.
There are very many brainwashed people in America, but
Doesn't matter.
But and that's the people who are clinging on to what has been the traditional programming. It's Pavlovian. They're stuck in that Pavlovian cycle.
All right.
Trump is a fringe because of the amount of change that he's bringing, because he can bring a collection of other fringe individuals with their changes as well. RFK is fringe, and so is Elon, so is Ron Paul, and they're all able to come under the umbrella, which is Trump, which is the introduction of that fringe to the center that people are willing to take a risk on, because it is far better than continuing down the path that the establishment has already put in place, which is falling apart in our faces as they lie to our faces and say, it's all wonderful.
So let me prove my point completely. In 2000, we had Bush and Gore.
Yeah.
Both establishment.
Yes.
Establishment Republican, establishment Democrat.
Yes.
And we didn't rush to put Nader in. I know I voted for Nader. So we didn't rush to put Nader in. Didn't happen. That did not happen. And if Bernie had run into 2000 in primary and Trump had run in 2000 in primary, they both would have lost. 100%. America has changed. That is my point. We are more desperate now because we are angrier. We are lonelier. We are more unhappy. That now we would accept Bernie if you lean left, and we would accept Trump if you lean right, which would not have happened in 2000.
Yes, emotionally we have changed. I'm talking, when I say we haven't changed, I want to be very specific that I'm talking about our rights. I'm talking about the ability.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our culture.
I understand, but see, you didn't say that at first. So we were talking across purposes with each other because it wasn't defined, and that's not your fault. It's kind of my fault because I didn't ask for the clarification. So I'm willing to say it's my fault. But you're talking about culture. I'm talking about rights and ability to use those rights, because that's what people are screaming about right now. That's the fear right now, that black people are going to go back into change it. Well, the fear that's out there right now is that, black people are going to be put into chains again. Women are going to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchens, that the white men are going to rule everything like it's, Columbus coming into America again. That's not real. Then we didn't lose our rights overnight, and we're not going to lose them going forward. Elections aren't going to stop going on in America. We're not going to suddenly be in a dictatorship. It's not going to happen. We were more on that path under Harris.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
So, but
I'm not saying you're wrong.
So that's the part I'm saying.
I'm asking a specific question to you.
I understand. But
now you're asking a different question. The culture. No, you thought it was a different question. Same question. Has America, the culture, America, the people, not the laws. We're getting. I'm a libertarian.
The culture and the rights are two different
things. That
we
have is bad, right? So I hate all the laws. Anyway, my point being, has America changed? Meaning the people, the culture, and I say yes.
The culture has changed. Yes, the culture has changed. Yes, not the rights. But people are being told the culture has been telling people they don't have rights, that their rights come from the government and are dependent on the government. Look, listen to the Democratic Socialists of America. They'll tell you that every day. That's part of their change. This is part of the transformation they've been trying to make in America, is to say that you don't have agency. unless it's through the government. That's why the government wants to micromanage. And I think people are reawakening, and we're actually having somewhat of a renaissance going back in terms of our culture in the recognition that we have agency. So we're reverting back to an earlier version of America, which I think is a good thing in the sense that we remember that we are individuals, that we are free, that we can express ourselves and have agency without government intervention in every aspect of our lives. People are getting pissed off because of Dexter Taylor. They're pissed off because of Peanut. They're pissed off because you have government trying to control everything you do and want you to eat bugs. It's ridiculous. So yes, we've changed.
All right.
We're
right,
remembering who we were.
What I love Michigan.
Does that make sense now?
People would tune in for Larry. Discussions like these tonight are so very important to have if we want more united country. Oh,
I agree with that.
Thank you very much. Guys, I want to ask you one more time, if you could, please click the button known as like. It really does matter. If you haven't shared this, I don't know why you aren't sharing it. It's a great show. You should be sharing it. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. Thank you so much for all the super chats. I appreciate them. Membership does matter. If you want to become a member, I would appreciate. I want more and more members. It does make everything easier. And it means more people show up every time so that we can share more and get a bigger audience. No matter what, though, please follow this man. Follow him on Rumble at No Sound Bites Allowed. You want to say something, Michael? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I love you, chat. I haven't usually, chat, I pay attention more to all the things you've been saying. I haven't been able to keep up, which is a beautiful thing. Love that. And I thank you for the super chats and the chat that's been going on. There's many of the things that I'd love. Reach out to me. I will be happy to have more in-depth conversations because we can talk about this for next year. Larry,
and
fantastic that he's given me an opportunity to have this conversation with you guys. More people should do what Larry is doing, to have these conversations, because we don't improve without them.
Absolutely. Guys, please do me a favor. Once this is over, please put a comment. You need to keep Mr. Rhythm happy. Al Gore, put a comment on afterwards. I'll respond, and I'll bug Mike to respond. If you do him, I'll bug Mike to come on and have him respond too. So we'll both respond to make sure that happens. I appreciate it tremendously. I will be on tomorrow at 7 p.m. Mike will also be on. When next, Mike?
Saturday, Old Man Vass, science fiction. Sunday is Sunday at 2:30 is my regular show.
There we go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all very soon.